At the beginning of our story, today we will see the king of the kingdom of Uriah, and with him the knights riding on their horses, and they will be in the middle of the mountains and above the hills, and there is also a female dragon, and he is able. They also follow her and enter this cave after her, and at this moment the female dragon flies at them with her skull in her hand, and uses her fire with great force on them. She is also able to kill and eliminate most of the knights at once. She also uses her guide and claws and captures the remaining knights and kills one after the other until she finishes them all, and it will not be fatal. Is different from the king, who is at the height of terror and fear, and here the female dragon approaches him, and along the length of the king kneels and descends to the ground, waiting for his inevitable end, and he takes revenge. We have the movie after that, and very many years will have passed since this happened, and we will go to another kingdom in the north, and the two of them will appear to us, the daughters of those who their names are Floria, Alwadi, and Dula. They are the daughters of King Byford, and they also collect and cut wood. They also do their best to help the people of the kingdom who are suffering from cold and extreme hunger. At this time, the two sisters return to their palace and urinate with their father, King Byford, and his wife Angela, and we know that this Angela is not their mother, but she is only their father's wife, and they have one of their relatives. She is coming to ask for Iode's hand for marriage from a prince from the family and the royal family of the kingdom of Aurea. At first Iode refused, but her father made her agree out of anger when he told her that by marrying this kingdom they will get a lot of money, good things, and gains, and these gains will help him, and their people will help you in the harsh conditions they are living in. No, indeed, they are preparing themselves and escaping themselves, and they board the boat and the bayonets. Once they arrive, they are completely amazed at the beauty and splendor of the kingdom of Aurea. Finally, they arrive at the royal castle, and the servants take them to their rooms, and they swallow that their meeting with the royal family will be tomorrow, and after that, Iode goes and looks from this large balcony to smell the breeze and see and enjoy her eyes with the very beautiful scenery around her. She sees another girl her age standing in a second balcony, and one of the servants comes and lets this girl enter inside, and at night she does not get sleep and wastes her time drawing. And the next day they actually meet royal family and Queen Isabel. She asked Lodi and her son, Prince Henry, to go for a walk and spend a little time together in order to get to know each other more. In fact, they go out for a walk with each other in the very large and beautiful castle garden, and they talk, and then they have a little shower, the two of them together, and they also ride horses. When they meet her in the beautiful, picturesque nature around them, we see that Lord Bifford is very upset after he finished his talk with Queen Isabel, and when his wife Angela tries to find out what is bothering him in this way, he explodes in anger and tells her that's okay, and Angela goes and talks to Queen Isabel. Queen Isabel is arrogant and can't stand them at all, so I started to find Angela surprised by her style. The next day in the morning, we see the maids helping Iode prepare for the wedding, and we see that Iode's wedding dress is very beautiful, but the strange thing is that they put a dagger like that in her dress, and there's also a chain with a stone in it. The cream smells very sweet, and the wedding ceremony begins, and things are going very normally, exactly as they were arranged. Henry and the friend exchange the wedding rings, and Iode is given her crown, a camera in the royal family, and she bids farewell to her family and rides in the horse-drawn royal carriage with her husband, Prince Henry, and he tells her that they will continue their wedding ceremony on the mountain is a royal tradition to honor their ancestors and the pity of kings. When they reach the mountain, they climb up rocky stairs. Indeed, they reach the top of the mountain, and here Iode feels shocked when she finds a group of people waiting for them, wearing golden masks that look frightening, and Queen Isabel is dressed like this and in a nun's clothes, and she shows her his work, a coin, and you tell her that this coin will help you protect the kingdom. Queen Isabel tells them the story of when their ancestors, unfortunately, arrived here and discovered the last female dragon of her kind and species living in this cave. At that time, the female dragon attacked the people and destroyed large parts of the new kingdom, but the king gathered all the guards and soldiers and they were expelled. The female dragon was able to kill all the guards and soldiers except the king, who was forced to dispense with his 3 daughters to forget the dragon in exchange for sparing his life and the kingdom as well. That is why the kingdom always celebrates 3 celebrations in memory of the king's 3 daughters who were presented to the female dragon, and at that time they were on the bridge over a very deep and very large hole. Queen Isabel says that the king's sacrifice for the sake of the kingdom is the celebration that they celebrate every generation. Queen Isabel hurts Iadi and Henry's hands, and they confuse each other. She officially learns that Iadi has finally become a member of the blood and the royal family, and Iadi throws the coin into the hole. He goes down, and she thinks that this is the end of the ritual celebration, but Henry removes Iadi and says to her, "I'm sorry," and throws her down, and she goes down into the pit, and Iadi screams very loudly, and she falls down until she is independent and falls to the bottom of the dark pit, and he sings to her, and she loses consciousness completely, and after a while, Iadi excels. Matt gets upset and gets on her feet a second later. He continues to call and scream and ask for help, but then everyone walks away and no one stays at all. Her loud voice wakes up the dragon who has been sleeping for many years in the cave. She shakes violently, tearing the expensive jewelry they are wearing. And she also tries to climb and get up and escape from here, but unfortunately, she fails and falls down a second later, and by chance she sees another piece of jewelry thrown here on the ground other than the jewelry she was wearing, and she learns that this royal family sacrificed other daughters many times before, and suddenly she hears a sound like this coming from the depths of the cave, and when she gets closer to the source of the sound, she sees something like a light like that coming from the inside of this cave. It is about a small bird burning, and the fire is passionate about it, so it started to extinguish the fire from it, but unfortunately it dies and appears, and many birds fly over it, passionate about the fire in it, and they destroy around it, and after that, all the birds of the fire fall to the ground under their feet and die, so they love the hands as they find a way out from here, but she gathers in her place in shock and fear when she sees the savage female dragon coming towards her, so she runs along and makes me lose. She speaks and tells her that every generation of kings must pay the price that was agreed upon, and she knows that she smelled her scent and the scent of royal blood in her veins as well, and at this time, Yudi looks at the wound that Queen Isabel inflicted on her, and she knows that they did this to deceive the female dragon on the basis that her blood is mixed with Henry's blood. She also thinks that she is a female dragon from the royal family, so she ran into the deep tunnel in this cave. As for the female dragon, she ran after her, and her fire was effective on her, and she was screaming, and Al-Hassan, she is lucky to find a place like this. She hides in the fire and sees the burned body of a girl next to her. She learns that this is the girl she saw before, standing in the balcony she went to in the royal castle. At this moment, she sees the flames of a female dragon coming toward her, and she gets wet from a small hole in the second. This tunnel is used to escape from the fire and is used in a slightly smaller cave. But part of the fire reaches her and burns her legs, so she becomes burned and cries from so much pain. By coincidence, she finds a dull dagger in her dress, so she decides to cut off the part of her dress and begins to tie it to her leg that was burned by the fire. And it is within in it. The dress is like a flammable gemstone, and she takes a torch from the fire and lights it in order to explore the place around her, and She now knows why they put these strange things for her in the wedding dress. After that, she finds a very narrow corridor, but she enters it and leads through it slowly and very quietly, and she gets burned. From this part of her dress goes down with force, and the fire inside her is also extinguished, and this is despite all the wounds in her and the fatigue and extreme exhaustion that she feels, but she refuses to give up and uses this precaution, and it is all determination and insistence on reaching the light that she sees so far away, and she keeps walking until she falls from the second a hole like this, but she is still able to see the light in front of her from the other side. She takes the wedding ring from her hand and throws it into the hole. She leaves it with great force forward and jumps. She wants to run and reach the other side, and she will be fine. She will reach it, but she slides down. Fortunately for her, part of her dress gets stuck in a rock like this. She picks it up and pulls out the dagger from her dress. She lands firmly in the apartment like this and continues to look up and manages to get out until she finds that these lights are coming from some kind of really cute little caterpillars. So she starts taking some of them and puts them in a piece of fabric from her dress to light up the place around her. And after that, she continues walking in the place until you reach this pool of water, and when you get close and drink from it, you find that the water tastes very bad. So you stand under the snow and try to drink from the drops of water that are coming out of it, but suddenly the snow began to melt very quickly, and the color of the snow also changed color. The red color is the fire of the female dragon that penetrates the snow. In fact, the female dragon comes down from above and chooses this layer of snow and ice. She runs quickly and enters a narrow place that is strong for the female dragon, and she will not know how to enter behind her. When she looks around, she finds a message written on the wall, which means that the place is here. The female dragon will never be able to reach you, and the message will be signed with the letter V. And not only that, you will also find the names of many girls written on the note, and we will know that the owner of the signature on this is named Victoria, and the countries of the girls who were sacrificed to the female dragon over the long years that have passed, and Elodie feels sad for them and feels sad. The cloth wrapped around her legs is burned by the fire of this female dragon, and she is very, very tired, and she is trying to rest and sleep for a while, and when she sleeps, she dreams and sees in front of her the girls who were the victims who preceded her here, suffering from the pain, fear, and betrayal that happened to them, and Victoria writes her name on the note and tells Audi that the whole matter is basically a phrase about large books that have no basis in truth. At this moment, Audi wakes up from sleep and finds glowing caterpillars on her wounded and burned legs. She then drops a sticky substance on the wounds on her and her legs as well. They begin to improve and are much better. When she sees this, she places them on a wound on her arm and apologizes to them for not doing so. She did not know their value, and after that, Iadi discovers a map drawn on the wall. This means that at least one girl succeeded in getting out and escaping from this cursed cave. The map says that she will find 3 tunnels to get out, and she must also choose the tunnel in the text, and after she enters, she is supposed to follow the crystals and music to get out from the place, and after that, Elodie tears off all the broken and unnecessary parts of her dress, and she also writes her name on the wall and moves to the other side. He got out of here, and when Elodie hears the voice of the wild female dragon, she continues on her way, and she also hears the sound of music in a small tune like this until she reaches an area that is all covered with light crystals, and a pointed sharp one, and light comes out of it, and the sun's rays hurt, and you find a royal crown with the letter V written on it. This means that the girl whose name is Victoria is the one who got out of here. At this time, I would like to cut off her dress and cover and dust her hands and feet so that they won't be hurt by the crystals while she is trying to get out and use them. Also, the royal crown begins to climb to get up, and we see that the female dragon is watching from below, and here a crystal breaks from under her feet, but she uses the crown and does not fall. She also hears the voice of the female dragon approaching her, but she responds with her strength and is able to get out and rise and reach the end of the hole above, and she imagines that she is in a place on the top. It is very high up in the mountain, and she sits in her place, completely devastated and feeling very frustrated after all that she has done, and she continues to cry, but suddenly she hears the sound of horses neighing, and she sees a group of knights approaching the mountain, so she stops and calls them in a very loud voice, asking for help and assistance, but the female dragon flies off. She is frightened and enters my body, and the female dragon tries to reach her with her claws, but she does not know, and by chance, Elodie sees a message written on the wall, meaning that the place here is not completely safe, and this message is signed with the letter on the side of the message. We also find a corpse, and we shake off from that, as this remains the corpse of Victoria, and she is the woman. She wrote this letter and died here. This time, the female dragon is preparing to throw her fire at Ione, but she stops and begins to cry when she hears a voice calling Ione's name. The female dragon flies from here, and we discover that King Byford, Ione's father, is coming to the mountain, and with him are 3 knights and soldiers ready to go down to the cave. Using the ropes, he also begins to search for Ione throughout the place. The friend wants to return from Annie to the beginning of the cave so that she can meet them and be with them and save her from certain death. If she stays here, she walks in a new tunnel and reconciles with the female dragon's nest, in which there is a lot of gold and the bones of 3 small dragons, and she remembers Victoria's words in the dream when she told her that the whole matter is a big lie and has no basis. This means that Queen Isabel is lying, and this female dragon is not the last dragon of her species and type in the world or anything, and the movie flashes back to the past, and we discover that the king entered the cave with him and the knights who were with him because he kills and eliminates the young female dragon, and what the female dragon did to them was just a retaliation from her for killing her young in this hideous way. That is why she killed all the soldiers and knights who were with the king. When it was the king's turn, forget the dragon. She told him that death would be an easy and simple punishment, and it would be yours of torment, and that he must also suffer and be tormented as he deprived her of the 3 girls from her childhood and killed them with his soldiers, and in her arrogance he also offers her his 3 daughters as an offering and sacrifice for what he did, and also every year they must offer her 3 daughters from the royal family until she dies, and of course the king agrees, and the one she will kill and go out will be destroyed. Whole kingdom in seconds, and at the present time, the female dragon attacks 2 of the knights who are with King Byford. As for the 3rd knight, he hides and you cannot see him. After that, the female dragon approaches King Byford and asks, "What brought you here?" He tells her, "I am coming to rescue a god's daughter." At that time, he draws his sword and rushes to confront the female dragon, but the female dragon easily grabs it and drops the sword from his hand. As we see, after that, the female dragon asks Bayford to call his daughter, Eod, so that she can come here in front of her immediately. But King Bayford screams loudly when he does not know his daughter is still alive, and he says to her, "My daughter, if you listen to me, I will continue running away and don't show up at all for her." And here the female dragon gets angry and thrusts her claw into his heart, and when she sees this from afar, she cries, and the female dragon feels her presence and then begins to look around for her in the whole place, and at this time the knight is there. The 3rd one, who was hiding from the female dragon, runs and tries to escape, and the female dragon is also expelled, and she remembers him as Eal. After that, Elodie appears and goes to her father, King Byford, and He also apologizes to her that he wanted to sacrifice her in order to save his kingdom from loss. So she says the final farewell and holds onto the rope they were taken down and has fun from here. The female dragon also kills this knight, and she sees Iati running away from afar, so a bird quickly attacks her and fires at her. But fortunately for Iati, at the last moment she succeeds in climbing up and leaving the cave, and Iati rides her father's horse and adorns him, and the female dragon also kicks her out, so she jumps off the horse and uses it to run alone. The female dragon reaches him and is burned with her own fire. She is very angry and continues to blow the fire with great intensity and force, as a sign and warning to the people of the kingdom to break the covenant with her. When Queen Isabel sees what has happened, she knows that Alo has escaped from the female dragon and is going with the kingdom's knights quickly in order to kidnap Floria, Iati's sister. When Angela is trying to stop them, one of the guards comes and stabs her with his weapon. After a while, when the fire subsides and the female dragon disappears from the place, Elodie comes out of her hideout from under the rocks and follows with the bleeding injured Angela, who has traveled all this distance on the horse's back, and tells Elodie about what happened here is that I promise her that she will save her sister, but Floria leaves her and waits for the mountain. We see that Queen Isabel has arrived in the cave with her son, Prince Henry, and the knights, and that Floria is with them. Of course, she wants to throw it to the female dragon, and when Queen Isabel wants Henry to mix his blood with Floria's blood, he refuses and tells her that this is a child, and I will not be able to do that, so I wound the queen, melting her hands, and she cuts Floria's hand and mixes her blood with Floria's blood so that she throws her down like the ones before her. After that, Ioti reaches the cave, and they throw Floria and they walk from here, and the female dragon catches Floria, and Floria is unconscious and completely unconscious, but the female dragon does not kill Floria, but wants to use her as bait for the Alo that she escaped from. In fact, she removes it and flies with it to the inside of the cave. She will have descended and reached the bottom of this cave, and through the map on the wall, she knows the location and hiding place of the dragon in the cave, and she will amuse herself and take her father aside and make a trap like this for the female dragon by using the shields of the knights who died here, and they are also placed on top of each other, and you tie her up with a rope, and fire is lit in it, and it goes a little further away, and when the rope burns, these shields fall to the ground and make a very strong sound, but this Alo remains hidden in a place like this, and forget the dragon. She hears a sound. She flies quickly towards the source of this sound, and IUD takes advantage of the opportunity and goes to the dragon bakery. She wakes up and outperforms her little sister, Floria. Floria gets up and stands on her feet and begins to move very slowly because she was injured in her legs from the fall from above when Queen Asbel threw her a little while ago to the female dragon, and at this time the female dragon, she discovers that the source of this sound was a trap and nothing more, and then she flies and returns at full speed to the bakery, letting her sister hide from the female dragon, and she is the one who is talking to her and telling her that Queen Asbel deceived them and she deceived her throughout these long years, but the female dragon does not believe her words and tries to blow fire on her and actually attacks her, but Iati responds to her attack and falls under the pool of water, while Floria sees Iati with him in order to defend herself. At this time, the female dragon attacks Iati, grabs her claws and pins her down to the ground. She thinks about the dagger she has with her, and then takes it out and washes her eyes, and the female dragon, due to the intense pain, throws it far away. But Yudi doesn't waste any time. She grabs the sword a second time, and then it comes to her, and she finally succeeds. She stabs it in the chest with the sword, and the female dragon catches her and rises up, while Yudi buzzes with her claws on the sword, so she can't let go of them. Yudi also falls to the ground, and she stands again on her legs and sees a rock like this, the wind from which was cut off. In the place, she stood in front of this rock and called for the female dragon and asked her to burn her. The female dragon's trap set fire to her, and at the appropriate time, the Lodi moved from her place, and here the fire struck the rock and strongly cut off the female dragon, and it actually burned the female dragon, and she fell to the ground, but a Lodi remained. So my sister looks at the wound on her hand and tells her that I and all the girls you killed before are not from the royal family of the kingdom of Uriah, because the royal family has been deceiving you all these past years, and she raises her wish to kill the dragon lady and put a group of glowing larvae on her to treat all her wounds, what is in her body. And at this time in the royal castle, we see that a celebration is being held for a new bride for Prince Henry, so that they will present her to the female dragon, and this will be the third girl that they throw away this year, according to the agreement, and deal with the female dragon. And suddenly she throws at them. This is the coin that Queen Zabiel gave to her. Before that, she enters them, and here she approaches the bride and asks her to take her family and escape from here quickly, and she also tells her about everything, and in fact, the bride and her family flee the place quickly, and she speaks to everyone present and tells them to walk and escape from here, but no one cares about her words, except the servants, who quickly escape from the place. And at this moment, the female dragon appears, and her fire is beneficial to them, and it also kills Queen Isabel and all the members of the wise family who are present in the place, and Prince Henry keeps closing his eyes and accepting death and this punishment because he knows that he definitely deserves a tragic end in this way for everything they did. And after that, Yudi and the female betray. The dragon is in this place after taking revenge and ending this matter forever, and after a day, Yudi, Flora, and Angela are preparing to return to their kingdom in the north on a ship full of gold, money, and many good things for their people. Indeed, they board the ship and pit the spears. As for the female dragon, she will remain happily flying alongside them, keeping them safe, and thus the events of our film end. Today, I hope you were happy with us. Don't forget to, if you like the video, support us with a like and subscribe, and also activate the bell